Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. I am very pleased to have as guests in studio Nicole Peterson and Kathy Red are here with Primary Children's Hospital. Welcome, both of you, to the show. It's great to have you here. It's terrific work that you guys do at Primary Children's, and I know because we've used it in our family many times, and so I'm familiar with some of the services that are offered anyway. But that's the thing I think that we probably need to start with, is the fact that really just about everybody has been touched in some way by Primary Children's.
Yes. That's probably the easiest part of our job as helping with the fundraisers is as we go out into the different communities throughout the state. Everybody has a story of the way that Primary Children's has touched their lives.
Indeed. And this is, obvious when you consider the amount of time that Primary Children's has been around. What is when was the origin of the hospital? Do you recall?
I think the origin of the hospital was approximately 1913.
Wow.
It's been a long time, and I may be off on that year.
If you're even close, that tells us something, though. I mean, really.
It's a long-standing hospital.
Indeed.
It started as a very small, there were two women walking down the street, and they saw a little boy who probably had had polio, and their hearts were wrenched at his situation, and they went to the local LDS leadership, or possibly the prophet at the time, and said, we would like to start a children's hospital. And there was permission given. The hospital was started, and it started out very small, maybe 23 beds. And at that time, the average length of stay was between 2 and 3 months. Is that correct?
Unbelievable.
And so from those small beginnings, it's really turned into a huge endeavor.
Yeah, and it's not a hospital in the sense that some people think. I think that some people mistake Primary Children's for being a place for long-term care only, and what they don't realize is certainly there's a part of that for sure, but there's also trauma care and emergency care that it really it's top of the country.
Yes, it's the only level 1 pediatric care hospital in the Intermountain West. It takes care of many states, not just Utah.
Right, that's why we see people being airlifted in from other places often.
Yes.
And that can be from anything from an injury to something that pops up that you weren't expecting, a breathing problem, something like that. And the next thing you know, you're in Utah.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Newborn babies are brought in on the helicopter many times.
Wow.
And that helicopter is quite busy.
Indeed. Talk to me about what has been your experience. I'm sure you have a personal experience with Primary Children's that has, brought you to this point of being here with us.
I have 6 children, 7 grandchildren, and knock on wood, everybody has been healthy. Our experiences at Primary Children's Hospital have been because of stupidity, teenage stupidity. And
well, you're willing to admit it.
I don't have to admit
on their behalf.
On their
that's
behalf,
great.
I will admit it. Everybody's healthy. We have not had any of the difficult situations that most children face.
Have you been touched by some that have happened that you've seen? Is that something that is that an everyday occurrence?
It's an everyday occurrence. I'm up at the hospital many times a week, and I get on the elevator, and there's always somebody in the corridor or in the elevator or in the hallway that there's a child suffering and parents struggling.
Yeah,
I see that every time.
I don't even have children. And so for me to volunteer with this, it is, I have many friends who have been up there, and I've been there with them. I had one friend who had a baby in the hospital for a month and a half. Total. He was there for a couple of times, and I'd go and hold him during the night so she could get some sleep.
Right.
And so that is really when I fell in love with the hospital, seeing the way that the nurses cared for that little baby who was so sick, and really feeling the passion that they had for the babies helped me develop passion for the hospital.
Indeed. One of the things that I noticed that was touching is the way, as you mentioned, the way in which these people care for your child. In that, they walk, and for you as a parent too.
Yes.
It's not just about the child. Honestly, half the battle most of the time is calming the parents down, right? I mean, I think of the silly things that happen in life, as you said, the stupid things that we do, that on the face of them to a parent is like, oh my goodness, this can't it's Humpty Dumpty. We can't put this back together. And you rush your kid to primary children's and they're like, it's okay, calm down, we got this. And they're taking care of your kid, and they're telling, they share with the child their name, and they calm the child down. And that was the part that I was amazed about, was the way in which your kid connects with that person so fully that their trust is handed over so much easier than to even mom and dad.
Yes.
It's amazing. I've never seen anything quite like that.
Yeah, and they actually consider the parents part of the care team.
Sure.
So they definitely, a lot of other hospitals you go to, and they do kind of, put they sequester the parents so that they can
keep
care.
Out of the room sometimes, right? Yeah.
And primary children's really feels like the parent's intuition is very important.
Sure.
And so they are involved in every decision that is made for the child where appropriate.
What I noticed too is that they also are able to, I don't know how they manage to do this, but explain things in a way that can put mom and dad at ease. I mean, they really are, they must go through some extra practice at that part of it alone.
Well, they explain things on a child's level.
There you go.
So that
they're used to that.
So that the child will understand what procedure or what's going to be happening.
Right.
They're the key, they're the key person in the process, the child. And so they need to understand what's going to happen.
Indeed. Talk to me about the telethon now for just a moment. That's coming up here in just a few days, right?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Oh my goodness.
Tomorrow.
That's
between
so quick.
6 and 9 p.m.
Okay. And it airs on KSL.
KSL television. And it's also going to be airing on FM 100.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Okay, so they're covering both this year,
Yes.
both TV and radio. Terrific friends of ours, the folks at KSL, and they do a bang-up job of bringing in all their folks and telling some of these stories.
Yes.
Yep.
If you've seen the promos that have been running on Channel 5, there have been many promos that talk about different stories of different families and children, and they are just touching, very
Indeed.
touching.
Yeah, it can't be denied at that point
Nope.
that you're going to feel something.
Yes.
Right.
So the telethon is tomorrow. This telethon is one of the largest fundraisers that you do. Is that not the case?
Yes.
Yes.
And this money goes to directly to taking care of these children. Talk about the different parts of that care that are involved, where this money goes.
A lot of times with fundraisers, you get, the word proceeds gets thrown
Right,
around.
I hate that
We
word.
are all volunteers.
Yep.
All of us who are putting on this telethon are volunteers. All of 100% of the money will go to the children. It goes to charity care, which is the biggest
Right.
one. Last year, $11.6 million was given in charity care from the
That's
hospital.
huge.
It is huge if you think about.
And takes away so much of the worry of these parents.
Yeah.
Yes.
In those situations, you don't have to worry about, can I get good care for my kid because I don't have any money?
Right.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And no child is ever turned away from care. So regardless, they don't even ask you if you can pay until your child has already received care and the time becomes appropriate for them to, you're a little bit more calm, and then they can talk to you about, your insurance and things like that. They just start taking care of the child immediately.
Wow.
The second thing it goes to is palliative care, which is something that hopefully you will never need, but it touches a lot of children. It's for chronic, long-term, and terminal illnesses, helping make sure that your child is comfortable and cared for, and that you also have the support that you need to make the decisions that you need as a parent. It also goes to art and music therapy.
Those are terrific.
Yeah, and every child in the hospital benefits from the art and music therapy, and those are things that insurance usually won't cover. And so our foundation helps cover that. And then also a little bit will go to research.
Yeah, indeed.
And then
the
also
hardest
charity
one I
care.
wanted to talk about too was the care for families who have a child that is terminal. Can we talk about that for a moment? Because
Sure.
I don't know how you guys do that. That's got to be the most difficult part of what Primary Children's does. Talk to parents about the fact that now we've reached the possibility that your child may not continue at this point. How do you guys do that? I just don't know.
There is a department. There's actually a department at the hospital that is funded by the programs that we help raise funds for. And they have social workers, they have registered nurses, they have people who are specifically trained to help families in end-of-life decisions. They can talk to them and say, you know, we all agree your child may not survive. How would you like us to help you? How would you like to transition? Would you like your child to come home and be able to pass away in your home? And how can we facilitate that? How can the employees and the volunteers at the hospital help you?
Wow.
And so it's a collaborative effort between the professionals and the family.
And to do that with the sensitivity and the the people and the interaction that has to happen, that is not something that, you know, it costs some real money, I'm sure, to have that kind of expertise and to have those kind of people involved. So this is another place where the funding from this goes directly to.
Yes, it goes directly to this.
Wow. Well, you can't put a dollar sign on that. There's no doubt.
But our theme is the child first and always. And Primary Children's believes that all of their efforts should be going to that child.
Indeed. So we start with the telethon, and you can already donate. Even though that starts tomorrow, in earnest in the evening, is when the program runs. What are the times?
It will run from 6 to 9 tomorrow, but you can donate now on kslkids.com.
Okay, so people can start right now,
Yep.
and of course, there's really no end to that. We don't have an ending date either. Continue to donate, obviously.
To donate.
But what a terrific work that the folks at Primary Children's are doing. Can you please express to us, or to them, for us up here, what we think of it? It's just impressive. And I have to say, just to share, when we talk about everybody who has had this experience, I've been there, and you know, the last thing you want to think about is anything other than your kid. That's really all your focus is really on. And when you realize that everybody else who's caring for your child only cares about that too, that's a tremendous thing. The doctors have no idea if you're being, you know, if you're paying or if they're helping. They have no idea that coming in the door. So the care is all about the child first and always.
Yes.
I love it. All right. So tomorrow night on KSL, again from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Also on FM 100. And of course, they can donate right now on the website, which again is
kslkids.com.
All right. I want to thank you both so very much for being here as always. Primary Children's Hospital. Make sure that you participate as well, because frankly, if you haven't already been touched by their care, you're going to. Everyone has that opportunity at some point, either through a friend or a family member themselves. So make sure you participate. We got a lot more coming up here on the Mountain Morning Show right after these messages. We'll be right back.